Our destination's about 2.5 hours away from Mishima Cape by highway. While I'll admit to a little unease at letting Amane take the wheel, it'd be difficult to complain given her obvious technical skill as a driver. The mini-truck accelerates smoothly as we pull into the fast lane, its 4-cylinder engine purring.
しまったな。タイヤの空気圧低かったかな。高架のジョイントで少しお尻振るね。
Well, yeah, since we don't have a load in the back.
どうしよう。次のサービスエリアで止まってエアの調節しようか。
Hardly necessary. Any more pressure and it'll ride rough once we're off the highway. Just turn the wheel into the sway and keep our weight evenly distributed. Focus on directing the rear driver's side tire and we shouldn't fishtail.
ちょい踏み気味ってことかな。こんな感じ？
Right. Like you're gently turning onto an exit.
ああ、なるほどね。雪道の要領か。面圧の均等分配ね。人間トルクスプリッターだ。
The fuck? You've lost me now. In any case, all I'm saying is, we've got 4 tires on this thing, so make good use of them all.
難しいことを簡単に言ってくれるよね。私の場合、さらっとやってるように見えるけど、結構大変なんだよ、それ。
I don't know, I don't drive, Amane. I do, but I also know what you can do. I wouldn't have said that to just anybody. What?
なんかさ、やっぱユージって和樹の弟だよね。
What's that supposed to mean?
なんかさ、うまく言えないけど、やっぱ似てるんだよ。和樹もユージも。
Sorry. Can't deny it. In a lot of ways, Kazuki erased me more than my parents did.
そっか。
Don't get so transparently depressed at every little thing I say, will you? I don't want to tiptoe around trying to be tactful. It's a pain in the ass.
はっきり言うな。
Kazuki isn't as delicate a subject for me as you seem to think. Not that I can completely laugh it off, but there's no need to get gravely serious every time I mention her name. And for what it's worth, I'm not trying to torture you about her death either.
でも。
Yeah, I know. When you want me to bully you, just say the word. I'll play along unless I have something better to do with my time.
そういう意地の悪い言い方、ほんと似てるな。
Don't laugh at me, woman. This is as much as I can do. I push and pull Amani around, keep her hands so full that she doesn't even have the time to get depressed. And in her darkest moments, I scold her outright. You've got a responsibility to live for my sake. I won't allow you to run away from it. That's all I can do for her. But I'll believe it'll be enough. I believe she'll be safe someday. I have to believe that. But for now, Amani still recoils from happiness, sinking into strong depression at the best of times. If the weight grows too heavy for her to bear, she tugs on my sleeve so that no one else can see, then whispers into my ear, always the same words. Hey, bully me. I need my punishment for today. Please. Tormented and teased, she finds the peace of mind that eludes her in moments of gentle kindness. I've accepted Amani and that strange, contradictory jumble of emotions. Just as she's accepted me, we'll work through them together from now on. I don't know how many years it will take. If things go badly, Amani might be like this for the rest of her life. But as long as I'm able to tag along, I will.
何？思い出し笑い？
No, just kind of amused at myself. Thinking seriously about the future and all that.
何それ？将来ぐらい誰だって考えるでしょ？
I guess so. Everyone does, don't they? Sooner or later, everything that lives reaches the same future. In other words, death. I've imagined mine a number of times. No, imagine might not be the right word. I've brushed against a very real possibility of death a number of times, implanting the awareness that I might well lose my life this way in my mind. And in those visions, I always died alone, without exception. I leave the world with all the dignity of a stray dog in a ditch. No one grieves. No one gets a phone call. My corpse is disposed of in a businesslike manner, and that's that. That's how I'd always seen it playing out. For a long time, I scraped my way through life, unable to consider even my own path. And now I'm seriously thinking about the future for the sake of a single woman. That's not laughable, what is?
ねえ、ユージはさ、将来どうするつもり？
That's an amazingly vague question. What are you asking me specifically?
だからずっと私のそばにいてくれるんだよね。
Ah, I get it. You want me to propose?
まあそうなんだけどさ、ねえユージ、寮に帰ったら辞書でデリカシーって言葉について調べた方がいいよ。
Of course, I'm thinking about marriage as well. But since I've been living pretty selfishly and irresponsibly up until now, it's honestly kind of difficult to even imagine. I've never lived the sort of life I could tell others about with pride. I'm pretty sure the idea of leaving any trace of my passing through this world has always repelled me. I didn't want to get married, much less have kids. I didn't want to take on anything that would be left behind after my death. Same reason I've never owned more property than I can carry on my back. But I'm starting to think that, for Amani's sake, I'd be willing to throw that lightness away. If so, I run smack into a logistical problem. Of course, I'm referring to my job. Amani, the truth is, I'm currently at something of a loss. After another 1.5 years at my job, my field term's up. Should I renew my contract, spend a year as an instructor while sitting exams, and aim for promotion? Or should I resign, become a permanent reserve, and look for other work? Which would you prefer?
って言われてもな、どう違うの？
The biggest difference would be in the level of danger. If I renew my contract and get promoted, my risk will go way down. But that also means my total salary will drop sharply. Whereas if I become a reserve member, I'll be able to take on a day job, so my earnings depend on my abilities. But when called back for emergency service, my jobs won't be any less dangerous than they are now.
だったら私は安全な方がいいな。
But you know, even if I renewed a contract, it's going to be difficult for me to move up the ranks, since I didn't attend a specialized school. It'd probably take me 10 years to make assistant section chief, and getting any further would be even harder. Impossible wouldn't be far off. My base salary today is 87,300 yen a month. Wow, that's actually not that much, Yuji. What the fuck, a month? That's actually quite low. For someone living in Japan, that's really low. Promoted, 233,600. Even if I work until retirement age, maybe 449,100 yen. It's not impossible to get by when you add in the benefits and bonuses, but...
お給料の金額ってもう決まっちゃってるの？
Right. Our company's got a pay scale, so the salary corresponding to every rank is clearly defined.
でも危ない仕事はしなくていいんでしょ？
For the moment at least, but that's also dependent on circumstances. If an emergency develops and some big shot says, "Protect me even if it costs your life," I wouldn't be able to disobey.
嫌だって言えないの？
Well, you can try, but when your superiors say, "Volunteers step forward," hanging back isn't really an option. When you get right down to it, that's what they're paying us for.
そうなんだ。
But then again, if I die on the job as a formal employee, there'd apparently be 100 million yen payment to my family.
そういう問題じゃないと思う。
If I become a permanent reserve instead, I'll still be called up for emergencies, but operating under the table, I can work a little more flexibly. I'd be able to play dirty behind the scenes without anyone complaining. I might be able to pull through serious crises through skill and craftiness. Not an option for a normal employee.
結局どっちが安全なの？
As long as there aren't any dramatic upheavals in the world, renewing the contract and becoming a regular employee carries less risk. But in the case of a large-scale emergency, being a reserve would be comparatively safer.
微妙。ユージはどうしたいの？
All things considered, I'd want to become a permanent reserve and look for another job. If we get married and start a family, I want to be able to tell my kid what daddy's job is.
あ、そこまで考えてるんだ。
Don't sound so surprised. Just whose fault do you think that is? A little while ago, I wasn't thinking more than a day or two ahead at most.
それっていいことなんだよね。
Probably, yeah.
私はユージの決めた方で構わないよ。契約更新してお給料が安くても私も働けばいいことだし、他の仕事に就きたいならそれでも構わない。
Even on permanent reserve, they're going to keep me on a short leash for 5 years. I need to apply in advance to move into a new home or travel abroad. And I won't be free to pick any job I want either.
それでも他の仕事がいいんでしょ？大丈夫。仕事が見つからなかったら2人で長距離トラックの運転手でもやろうよ。
The fuck does that mean, Amane? Would you seriously be okay with that?
いいんじゃない？私タイヤのついてる乗り物大好きだし、意外と似合うと思うな。
Well, come to think of it, I do have a lead on a job, I guess. Not that anything's been settled yet, but the principal floated the idea of taking me on at Mahama.
先生になるってこと？
Nothing's decided yet.
でも何の先生になるの？そっか。うちって体育の先生いないよね。体育の先生は？
Like I keep trying to tell you, nothing's decided yet.
でもそれすごくいいと思うよ。さっきの子供の話じゃないけどさ、パパは先生ですってすっごくわかりやすいんじゃない？
Yeah, guess so.
そうか、そうだよね。結婚か。
I was planning to introduce myself to your family pretty soon, but marriage would be a ways off yet. I have to get a job first at the very least.
そうだね。それでも嬉しいな。なんだろう、なんか急に生きる希望、そんなのが見えてきた感じ。
I probably should be thinking about this too, but I don't know, no interest so far really. I'm still a bit lost in life myself, Yuji. Well, at the very least, I want to seek self-improvement. That's a good thing. I don't know about the pros and cons about, settling down in life yet. I feel like as of now, or as of right now, yeah, I'm still feeling very fulfilled with my life. Not everyone has to settle down in their life to actually feel happy. Optimism if you put it nicely. Wishful thinking if you don't. I think it was Kazuki who told me they're both manifestations of a psychological self-defense mechanism that keeps us from committing suicide. But whichever this is, I'll take it. I don't think daydreams and theoretical scenarios are going to save Amane, but it's not a bad place to start. We arrive at the parking lot beside the mountain a little after 10, slightly behind schedule. Since we didn't know where the trail up the mountain began, we stopped into a diner and asked around. But apparently, the crash site has become somewhat popular among local kids as a haunted spot. So the answer we received was, "What? You too?" And a judgmental glare. After we explained that I'm a bereaved family member, they finally pointed us toward the unmarked entrance. The utterly deserted path up the mountain had a gentler incline than I'd expected. The locals rarely set foot in here, and the trickle of visitors has slowed over the years, so the trail's neglected and overgrown. By now, it's been halfway reclaimed by the primeval forest. Not too far beyond this tangled jungle, we'd glimpsed a private golf club with neatly manicured grounds, but on this hike, our scenery consists of bristly waist-high grasses swaying in the breeze, trees sticking out of the harsh soil at odd angles, and a slanting, rocky path ahead. That surprisingly gentle incline didn't last long either. 10 minutes into the forest, the slope quickly grew intense. Thanks to the vigorous exercise and high humidity, my back's quickly soaked in unpleasant sweat. Noticing that Amani's begun to lag behind, I come to a halt and turn around to face her. You alright, Amani?
うん、大丈夫。当時に比べれば全然歩きやすいし。
The path's fairly wide, probably cut through the forest with the installation of the memorial stone in mind. But even so, now and again we run into steep stretches of rock that we're forced to scramble up on hands and knees. Since we're not pushing through thick grasses as we go, it must be significantly better than it was for Amani back then. But it's decidedly not an easy stroll.
こんな道があの当時にもあればね。
No use saying that now, of course, deciding to interpret Amani's words as a monologue. I turn without comment and once again push forward on the rough mountain path. The further we advance, the twistier the roads grow, the more frequent and severe its ups and downs. Just as an experiment, I take out my M2 compass and open the lid. At a glance, the magnetic needle seems to be pointing north. Maybe dry compasses are harder to influence, but having finished sighting, I lower the compass to chest level, and the needle immediately begins to shake. And when I place the compass on the ground itself as a test, the needle swings dramatically and fixes itself in a completely impossible direction. I take out my phone and flip on the GPS as if to say, well, how about this? But while the latitude and longitude display accurately, the mapping gets me nothing but a no signal message. I see. This is rough. I'm staying on a well-defined trail right now, so I don't feel any anxiety. But a quick visual survey of the surrounding area reveals nothing else that could serve as a landmark. Without this path, glancing over your shoulder for a moment would probably be enough to completely throw off your orientation. Where a powerful blizzard may create a temporary whiteout, a jungle this dense produces a permanent greenout. We've spent maybe 3 hours now hiking up the mountain. It's been 30 minutes since our third short breather. I'm just about to suggest taking our second longer rest when I notice that Amani has grown extremely quiet. The look in her eyes suggests that we've reached familiar scenery.
多分こっち。
Letting Amani take point, I follow a little ways behind. Before long, we arrive in a gaping, rocky ravine, surrounded on all sides by overhanging trees.
ここはあの当時とほとんど変わってないんだね。
Why isn't the bus, gone? Damn you! Are they that lazy to actually not, not put it away? Drag it away? Something? Clean up the place? The rusted, ruined bus is still lying where it fell 6 years ago. Most likely, it was simply impossible to remove it from this place. Is it? I think if they use a crane up where it fell off the cliff, they could probably do it. I would assume so.
そっか。あっちの方向に進めば3時間くらいで道路に出られたんだね。
If you had a trail leading right to it, even when aiming directly for a clear landmark, it's often impossible to keep yourself traveling in a straight line through a dense forest. You take so many detours to avoid obstacles that your direction will eventually be thrown off. In my company, new employees receive compass-based navigation instruction as part of their final training. After mastering basic compass operation, the final part of this little course involves throwing the newbies into a dense jungle with only a rough, handwritten map, and absurdly demanding they find their way to a specific point. Given a halfway adequate path, it wouldn't even be a challenging hike. But in a primeval forest, even without even animal trails, it's no joke. In the end, the majority lose their way and give up. And these are adults who just spent numbers of days learning how to orient themselves under difficult conditions. In some cases, they'll spend a good 4 hours or so hiking through the woods with a crud map in one hand, only to find themselves back where they started. The instructor is sneering, "What's wrong? Forget something?" If anything, you did a hell of a job finding your way out of this place at all.
多分私が脱出できたのは偶然みたいなものなんだと思うよ。本当にこっちで合ってるのかなって私自身半信半疑で歩いてたし。
You could try maybe climbing up the tallest tree or something to take a look at where you are. I don't know. That would have been what I do.
それでも和樹の言う通りにしていればきっと助かるって信じていたから。
As she spoke, Amane's downcast eyes fixed on the dignified, striking granite cenotaph standing before us. Granite? It seems to have been a while since the last visitor. The flowers placed before the monument are thoroughly withered, and the offerings of drinks and cakes have clearly been battered by the elements. After cleaning them away, Amane silently places the bouquet and snacks she bought in Mishima Cape on the tables set up for offerings, then sets up and lights her incense sticks.
みんな来るのが遅くなってごめんね。
Crouching down in front of the stone, Amane shuts her eyes and brings her hands together.
正直私はまだみんなのことが怖いよ。でも逃げてるだけじゃどうしようもないから、私もう逃げるのをやめるよ。私が逃げ出した後、みんながここでどうなったのかはわからないけど、きっと楽な死に方はできなかったんだよね。みんな死んじゃったのに私だけ生き残って、許してなんて言えない。許されようなんて思うこと自体がずうずうしいことだって分かってる。
The dead can't give you forgiveness, Amane. The dead can't do anything, really. At the end of the day, you're the one directing what the dead wants you to think.
だからもう謝らないよ、私。
I know it's hard for some people to actually think that way, though.
その代わりこれからはずっとお礼を言うよ。みんなありがとう。
Amane's praying with an earnest, intent look on her face, but I can't think of anything to say to the monument. It's just a stone, in the end. I know Kazuki's not in there, but it's not that I'm stubbornly clinging to that cold realism. I simply can't find the words to speak to my sister. I've never been able to handle this sort of thing very well. Years ago, when my American classmate, Daniel Vaughn, I actually don't know how to say that name, Vaughn, died on the job and I rushed over to his funeral. It was the same. Staring at Danny's coffin wrapped up in the stars and stripes, I found myself at a loss. Hey Danny, you're kidding, right? The first Marine's Iron Man couldn't possibly have died, right? You're just going to pop out of that thing and yell, "Hey shorty, something wrong?" with that shit-eating grin on your face, right? Stop with the crappy jokes, Danny. Those were the only words that popped into my head. No words can reach the dead. If you want to talk about something, talk about the reason they're gone. No matter how we feel about the matter, people die all too easily when the circumstances demand it. Seeking the reason for the death of Kazuki and the others, I once asked JB for copies of the investigation reports, years ago now. Unexpectedly, the documents indicated most had died of acute digestive diseases, specifically orally transmitted infections, mainly colitis and hepatitis. Hepatitis, there we go. The investigators conjectured the group had died in rapid successions, perhaps 2 to 3 days after symptoms first emerged. The source of the infections was almost certainly the bushmeat they'd added to their diet. Was the origin of their illness the dog they'd eaten after its death from sickness? Or perhaps...
みんなをバラバラにしたのは誰なんだろうね。
Right. Yes, the corpses discovered in this place had all been severely mutilated, with the lone exception of Yoshihiko Ochi, the club's advisor. That disturbing scene dominated coverage of the accident, overwhelming the truth through sheer spectacle. The phrase dismemberment murders took on a life of its own, ultimately leading to public suspicion that the sole survivor might have been the criminal responsible for leaving those gruesome corpses behind. But take a halfway serious look at the results of the investigation, and you'd see the autopsy suggested the bodies had been cut apart only after death. And since Imani had escaped from the valley before the estimated times of death for most of the corpses, it was simple enough to surmise she couldn't be responsible for their mutilation. There were plenty of whispers and internet rumors suggesting that Amane must have deceived investigators about the timing of her escape. But in any event, this was received by the authorities as a speculation it was, and the potential case against her was never pursued for insufficient evidence. The next target of the buzzards' innuendo and slander was Yoshihiko Ochi, recorded in the report as the only corpse among the 13 discovered intact. After all, a mass murder of female students by their own teacher was an even more attractive storyline for the classless scum of the world. Since it had a stronger tinge of scandal than the alternative, the media leapt onto this new theory with all the enthusiasm of a dog thrown red meat, adding in insinuations of sexual assault toward his pupils just for spice. With their slander, they tore apart Ochi's starved, pitiful corpse far more cruelly than any knife could have. In consideration of the extreme extenuating circumstances, no posthumous charges were ever filed against Ochi. But much like the lone surviving girl, society presumed him guilty. Very quickly, the name Yoshihiko Ochi became infamous throughout Japan. The young teacher who had committed a mortal sin that no circumstances could extenuate. Apparently, his only surviving relative was the single mother who had raised him. I assume that's a him. Yeah, raised him. He had been his mother's one and only child, finally gifted to her after passing 40. And after the details emerged, everyone around her offered their consolation for this loss by shunning her as the woman who birthed a demon. Hiding as best she could from the public eye, she scraped out a miserable existence. She had a grave built for her son, but it was cruelly vandalized again and again. On shopping trips, young children shrieked demon hack to her face. In Yen, worn down by the stones and arrows of her neighbors, she died a solitary death in the tiny single-room apartment that had been her final refuge. Who cut them up isn't a problem. To keep history from repeating itself, the only thing that matters is understanding why.
でもそれだけじゃ面白くないんだろうね、きっと。
The hell's wrong with this country anyway? Maybe I don't have the right to complain, as someone who was born and raised in Japan, and never tried to change a thing about it. But I've also seen this country from an outside perspective, and it routinely makes me sigh in disgust. The place, like neighboring countries, will always be greener. Yuji. Lots of places are even worse off than Japan, trust me. I say that, but there's probably also a worse place than in Indonesia. Wherever you go, people are fundamentally no better than they are anywhere else. I know that rationally, and I've experienced this many times, but it always brings on a nauseating surge of bitterness. I'm fully prepared to die the unappreciated death of a stray dog, but every time I feel this familiar wave of disappointment, I can't help but wonder what I've been crawling through the mud to fight for. It makes me want to what? Want to vomit. Amane, are you done yet? I'm starting to feel a little sick to my stomach.
ありがとう、付き合ってくれて。大丈夫？
Yeah, but I don't want to hang around this place longer than necessary. Let's dig up whatever Kazuki buried and get out of here.
でも何が入ってるんだろうね。ちょっと見るのが怖いよ。
Reasonable enough. There's no telling what's going to come out of that hole. Even Kazuki's last will and testament might not be so bad, on the scale of possibilities. Considering the circumstances back then, if by any chance we were to dig up her decapitated head, even understanding that the idea is absurd, I learned a long time ago not to put anything past Kazuki, even the physically impossible. Kazuki, huh? For a long time, I'd almost never spoken my sister's name, but lately it's been different. On the black cenotaph, presumably built by the families of the victims, that name is listed with all the others. The names of the 13 who died in this place: Taneda Saya, Komori Megumi, Hiroka Tamaki, Sakurai Mifuyu, Shikanai Tsukasa, Ozawa Yoko, Okabe Tomoe, Sakuma Minori, Ibuki Haruna, Kazami Kazuki, Ochi Yoshihiko, Koide Ritsu, Sakashida Chiaki. As I run my eyes across the list engraved into the smooth stone, something catches my attention. Sakashida Chiaki? That name. Hold on.
おっとっとですよね。これは失礼。私は坂下と申しましてね。天音さんの大ファンなんですよ。
Damn you, anime flashbacks. That happened like 15 minutes ago. Could it be a coincidence? No, that's...
ユージ、どうしたの？気分でも悪いの？
Quiet! What is this? There's something unpleasant in the air. It's too quiet. Not even a bird singing. As the trees rustle in the wind, I finally pick up the scent of a familiar, menacing presence. My breath catches in my throat. In an open, rocky clearing with little in the way of shelter, I've caught the murderous scent of an enemy. Amane, get down! Reacting instantly, I leap to push Amane aside, shielding her with my body. But before we hit the ground, there's a violent thrust against my right shoulder from behind. Ugh! In the next split second, the shattering sound of a gunshot rings off the cliffs and soaks into the trees above, rattling my eardrums. The next thing I hear is a dull thump. By the time I realize it was the sound of my head striking a rock on the ground, my consciousness is already sinking into profound darkness.
まさか気づかれるとは驚いたな。まるで野生動物みたいに勘のいい男だね。
あなたは一体何を？
はい、どうも。周防天音さん。お会いするのは初めてだったかな。私はね、坂下千秋の父親で坂下刑事と申します。天音さんにおかれましてはお元気そうで何よりです。はい。
坂下部長の。
そうですよ。あなたが見殺しにした。いや、あなたが殺した坂下千秋の父親です。ああ、かわいそうな千秋。なんでこんなことになっちゃったんでしょうね。これが運命だっていうなら、あまりにも残酷で、もうね、神を恨む思いですよね。でもほら、なんて言うんでしょうかね。神とかってね、人の弱さが生み出した概念的なものっていうか、ね、実体のないものを憎んでもね。
I actually agree with you, Mr. Sakashida.
で、まあ私は思うわけですよ。何かこう、存在としてのありがたみとでも言いますか、この手で触れることのできる対象と言いますか、わかりますかね。
Yeah, I very much agree with you. Ugh. Yeah.
ユージ！
動くなー、ボケ！私の話の途中でしょうが、聞きなさいよ。ねえ、最近の若いやつはどいつもこいつもてめえのことしか考えやがらねえ、救いようのないクズだな。おい。まったくもう、まったくどいつもこいつもまったく動くなよ。今弾入れ替えるから。
Ugh. Shit.
ユージ。
Yeah, I'm alright. Although I reflexively offered reassurance, fact of the matter is, nothing about this situation is remotely alright. All well and good that I sensed that sharp murderous aura in time to pull Amane down, but I didn't manage to completely escape the widely scattered buckshot pellets. It felt as though an enormous stone had smashed into my right shoulder. The blood flowing from my wound quickly grows cold against my back. gluing my shirt to my body. But considering the amount of blood, the flow doesn't seem that intense. I've probably got a number of small pellets lodged in my shoulder. The wound's not going to prove fatal in the short term, but when I try to pull myself up off the ground, my back screams with pain. I try to find a less painful way to move, twisting my body like a caterpillar, but it's wasted effort. The first huge stab of pain has all but paralyzed my body. Keeping still is about the only way I'm able to maintain my composure.
よし、娘の話をしよう。
Having finished reloading shells into his break-action vertical double-barreled shotgun, Sakashita mumbles these words to himself in an oddly calm tone of voice, staring up into space. Observing his suddenly placid behavior, my throbbing heartbeat slowly begins to settle down. At the very least, it seems he doesn't intend to kill us immediately. Sending Amani a small signal to wait for now with a flick of my eyes, I quietly settle back to watch and wait.
千秋はね、私が30の頃に授かった娘でね、親の勧めもあって26で結婚した私が愛してもいない妻と苦労して作った娘なんですよ。正直ね、子供なんて欲しくはなかったんですよね。でもね、老いた両親に熱望されてしまえば無下に断るわけにもいかない家系でしてね。
Yeah, sure. Keep making excuses, dude.
私の父は戦後の混乱期に不動産で財を成した資産家でしてね。私は父のそんな火事場泥棒まがいの商売を継ぐのが嫌でよく反発しては生意気を言うなと殴られたものですよ。おっと、違うな。娘の話でしたよね。まあね、そんな毛嫌いしていた父親の勧めで地方銀行の頭取の娘を嫁にもらったのが26。見てくればっかり気にして夫をまるで下男でも見るような目で見るクズ女でしたが、なんとか子を仕込むことに成功しましたよ。そこで生まれてきたのが千秋です。名前を付けたのは私です。いえ、名前に深い意味はありません。生まれたのが10月、つまり秋で、千の幸あれと適当につけた名前ですよ。でもね、不思議なものですよね。いざ生まれてみると、これがもう可愛くて仕方がないんですよ。
Lovely. The hell's that got to do with us? The words almost emerge from my mouth, but I bite my tongue. Right now, we're powerless. Our eyes fixed on the hunting shotgun in Sakashita's hands, Amane and I can do nothing but listen to his words. Apparently pleased by our submissive attitudes, Sakashita continues his monologue in a relaxed, easy tone of voice.
生まれた経緯はどうであれ、私にはとても大切な、自分の分身とも言えるほどに大切な子だったのですよ、千秋は。そんな千秋がですよ。合宿の帰りに行方不明になったと聞かされた時の私の驚きが想像できますか？
Aren't you like super rich? Why didn't you send out a rescue helicopter?
もちろんすぐに探してくれと依頼しましたよ。ヘリを含め1日に70万円かかると言われた捜索費も全て私が負担しました。ところが2週間経っても見つからない。まさかこんな場所で移動経路の予定にないこんな旧道の外れでバスごと滑落したとは誰も予想していなかったんですよ。
You sure?
もちろん私も思ってもみませんでしたし、ことによると某国に拉致されたのではとすら思っていたのですから、随分と的外れな場所ばかりを探していたのでしょうね。そして周りの誰もが諦めかけた頃、あなたがたった一人で生還しました。 もちろん捜索隊を再編成し、すぐに救助に向かわせましたが、間に合わなかった。回収された千秋の亡骸は8つに分断されていました。まさに八つ咲きというやつです。私はね、まるで自分の身を裂かれたような思いですよ。泣きましたとも。収容先の病院で白いシーツをかけられた千秋にすがりつくようにして年がいもなく大声を上げて泣きました。なんて運のない子だろう。できれば代わってやりたかったと、そう思うことで私も一時は納得したのです。ところがね、娘を亡くしてからというもの、どうやら私も運に見放されてしまったようでしてね、何をやってもうまくいかんのですわ。仕事はもちろん家庭もうまくいかず、妻には離婚され、年老いていた私の父も他界、母も父の後を追うようにして半年後に他界しました。もしかしたら千秋がおじいちゃんとおばあちゃんを迎えに来たのかもしれません。千秋はああ見えて甘えん坊な部分がありましてね。祖父も祖母も大好きだったんですよ。それから4年、私も千秋の迎えを待ちながら頑張って生きてきたのですがね、ダメでした。何もかもがダメでした。仕事もうまくいかず、負債ばかりが増え、気がつけば幹部社員の何人かが同時に退社を申し出てきました。そうなってしまえばもう会社を畳むしかありません。
Company you built, huh? You were from a rich family, dude. You built no company.
娘を失い、両親を亡くし、妻と社員に逃げられ、会社もなくした。私にはもう残っているのは借金ぐらいのものですよ。さて、これから何をすればいいのか、私の頭の中は真っ白ですよ。どうすればいいのかなんて何も思いつかない。そんな時でした。とある情報筋と言いますか、娘の元同級生から私のもとに連絡が入りましてね。その子が言うには、三島崎駅前のお祭りで周防天音を見かけたって言うんですよ。ああ、そういえば我々の前から逃げるようにして忽然と姿を消した周防天音さんの情報に以前私は賞金をかけたなあ、なんて思い出しましてね。忘れかけていたところにふっと思い出したあなたの名前に、私はね、そう、運命のようなものを感じたんですよ。
Ah, you must really love your own voice, don't you, Mr. Sakashida?
こうね、真っ白だった頭の中にね、ぽっかりと浮かんできたんですよ。自分が何をしたらいいのか、何をやり残していたのか、明確にね。
That's the reason you attacked us?
はい、そうです。これは復讐と言いますか、制裁です。はい。
Retribution? Are you serious? Confirming that my pulse has largely settled down while hearing out Sakashida's idiotic life story, I dig my hands into the gravelly ground and pull myself to my knees.
Yuji!
It's fine. Get back. Grabbing Amani's wrist with a hand coated in sticky blood, I draw her body behind mine. Stop trying to numb the pain of your failure by pushing the blame onto a scapegoat. All you're really looking for is an excuse to end your miserable life. If you want to die, do it alone. Don't take people who still have a future down with you.
これは驚きましたね。言うじゃないですか。銃が怖くないんですか？あなた、風見雄二さん、あなた何なんです？ 何か妙に重厚慣れしていますね。若者特有の辛い張りというわけでもなさそうですし、まるで何度も銃口の前に立ったことがあるみたいに妙に落ち着いている。おもちゃではないことは撃たれたあなたが一番よく理解しているでしょう。
As if to demonstrate, he thrusts forward the muzzle of his gun. The twin barrels, coated with black paint to prevent bare metal from flashing a warning to unsuspecting prey, glitter dully in the afternoon sun. None of that matters. Sakashida-san, respectfully, sir, you're full of shit. You want to find a new purpose in life? Fine, good for you. I don't give a damn. But retribution? Who the hell do you think you are? You're just taking out your misery on others. Who died and made you judge, jury, and executioner? Does a shotgun and a hard luck story make you into some kind of a holy warrior? Because from where I'm standing, you look more like a condescending, arrogant lunatic. If you had a real reason to deliver retribution, and if you were qualified to play that role, maybe I'd accept your judgment. But I'm not going to play along with the temper tantrum of some idiotic child who can only hold himself together by forcing his misery on others. Don't make me fucking laugh.
これは参りましたね。思った以上に弁の立つ方だ。なんかもう必死ですよね。私を怒らせて天音さんに銃口が向かないようにしているつもりですか？
Probably.
私が怒りに任せてあなたに向けて2発撃ち込めば、弾を込めている間に天音さんを逃がすことができるとでも？あはは、これは参った。なんという勇気だ。あなた勇者じゃないですか。かっこいいですな。
Huh. Alright, I'll permit you to have a crush on me.
ではお望み通り殺してあげましょうか。
Feel free to try. As a rule of thumb, people who bother to spout out threats like, "Do you want to die?" aren't about to follow through on them. When someone wants you dead, they'll kill you, not waste their time giving you a sermon. What this man really wants is to see us cowering on the ground, begging for our lives, ideally with snot running down our faces. Amane?
ほう、どうしました？天音さん。
あなたの娘を見殺しにしたのは私よ。あなたが殺したいのは私でしょ。ユージは関係ないわ。むしろ家族を失ったあなたと同じ被害者よ。
ほうほう、それで？私はどうなっても構わないから、風見さんは助けてほしいと、そうおっしゃる。
おっしゃるわ。
おっしゃられてもね。さてさて、これはどうしたものか。
死に場所が欲しいなら私がここで一緒に死んであげるから。
Amane!
いいからユージは黙ってて。これは私とこの人の問題なのよ。
Two people that actually want to die.
はあ、そんなにも大切ですか、この風見さんが。
As Sakashida's face twists into the habitually mocking expression of a man rotten to his core, Amane realizes her mistake. This man had no intention of letting me go from the start. He intended all along to kill me before her eyes, to force her to suffer the agony of losing someone precious to her, and only then take her life. No, it's entirely possible that I was the only target from the very beginning. He may want nothing more than to force Amane into the depths of despair, to leave her stranded in her agony, crawling pitifully through a living hell.
私はね、ずっとね、こういう機会を待っていたんですよ。誰もね、私の悲しみなんざ理解しちゃくれない。
People love saying that, don't they? Myself included. But truly, as of now, I don't even care about people to understand my pain. And so should other people.
私にはね、もうこんなことぐらいしか残ってないんですよ。
You know, you're one hell of a nuisance, old man.
でしょうよ。出なければ意味がない。もっと理不尽をかみしめてくださいよ。それが私の唯一の慰めになるのですから。はい。
最低だ。
いいですね。もっと私を憎みましょう。もうね、どんどん憎もう。そしてもっともっと苦しみましょう。よし、逃げていいですよ。
は？
だから逃げていいと言っているんですよ。もっと無様に、もっと惨めに、もがくようにして生にしがみつく姿を私に見せてください。はい、よーいドン。ほら、どうした？走れ！
Guess he enjoys the thrill of the hunt or something. As if stung by the sound of Sakashira's blast into the sky, Amane roughly grabs my clothes, pulls me to my feet, and drags me down the rocky path at a dead run. Ugh. As I'm forcibly dragged into sudden action, my spine creaks painfully, and my wounded shoulder pulses with agony. Amane! Hey, Amane! My voice doesn't reach her ears. Half carrying me, she runs in sheer desperation, frantically putting every inch she possibly can between us and that man.
あの人ももう人間じゃない。鬼だ。
Amani's tearful, choked voice trembles with terror. Simply fleeing from the mocking laughter behind us is the most we can do. More times than I can count, we lose our footing on the uneven ground, half crawling over sharp rocks and thick vegetation. We run desperately, directionlessly. Directionlessly? That's a very weird word. Thinking only of gaining distance from our pursuer. Whenever we come to a momentary halt, a blast of gunfire gouges the ground only a little behind us. Frantic to keep our legs moving, we eventually lose all sense of where we're going. But as we splash across the small stream Amani and the others had used as their water source, our menacing shadow abruptly vanishes.
もう大丈夫かな。追ってこないみたい。
No, he's here, hiding himself, but watching us closely.
わかるの？
Only by intuition, but I don't think he'd give up so easily either. At a guess, Sakashira must be a recreational hunter. The first time we met, he'd approached me with perfect stealth, then vanished like a ghost into the station crowd after our conversation had concluded. Most likely, he's got extensive experience hunting large wild game like deer or bears. Such animals can notice the presence of a typical human being from a good 200 meters away. Hunting such creatures require the ability to blend perfectly into your surroundings, a skill equally applicable to stalking other humans. This man's a serious goddamn nuisance. Ugh.
ユージ、怪我は？
There's definitely something lodged in my right shoulder. The pain isn't unendurable, but I need to get this bleeding stopped, or things are going to get ugly. That said, in our desperate flight, we left our backpacks and pouches behind at the memorial. We don't have even the most basic of medical supplies on hand.
どうしよう。傷口を縛ろうにも背中と肩じゃ。
That is a problem, but at this rate, the bastard's just going to slowly torture us to death either way. We have to fight back somehow. We have absolutely nothing in the way of weapons on hand. And having been shot, my ability to fight is dubious at best. In that case, Amani, let's split up here and escape separately. He wants to kill me in front of you. If we try to run away together, that's how this will end. Also, it might be unfair of me to put it this way, but I can operate easier alone. I wanted to focus on escaping.
嫌だよ。またそんなの。どうしてユージまでそんなことを言うの？それじゃカズキの時と一緒だよ。そんなの絶対に嫌。私もう逃げないって決めたんだから。
Of course, I'm not planning just to run. I'll play the decoy, lure him out by pretending to flee, and then turn the tables and crush him. In a fight where you have the added responsibility of protecting someone, this is the better strategy. Please, try to understand. This is an order. Answer me, Amane.
やだ。
Amane!
いや、ユージが死ぬなら私も死ぬ。
Nobody said anything about dying.
和樹だってそう言ってた。私は死なない。いつか必ずまた会えるって。そう言ってたのに死んだもん。もう信じない。
Amane.
もう一人だけ生き残るのなんて嫌なんだよ。だって今度は私がユージを守る。この命にかけてなんて言えない。私の命なんてきっと汚れていて安いから。でも私はもう逃げないよ。
Don't worry, Amane. All life is actually dirty and worthless, to be honest. Not just your own. Everyone's.
あの時逃げ出した私の罰。あの時のお塾は今ここで全部注いでやるんだ。こんな歪んだ世界でうつむいたまま生きていくのはもうたくさんなのよ。膝を抱えて座り込んでいた私を立ち上がらせてくれたのはあんたなんだよ、ユージ。だからこれはあなたへの罪滅ぼしじゃないけどごめんね、和樹。たとえ今ここでユージと死に別れても生まれ変わって何度でもユージを探してまたお姉ちゃんになるから。だから今回はごめん、和樹。
Don't apologize, damn it. This isn't over yet. Nobody said you could give up. Also, don't hold conversations with dead people. This is exactly why you're always dragging the past around like a ball and chain. Fools only look ahead. Crybabies only look behind. Envious children only look up. And scornful asses only look down on others. They've all got tunnel vision. You're no different from Sakashira's idiot of a father. But nothing, woman. That said, what do I do? I mean, we want the bad ending, of course. Why would I want the good ending first? I actually don't know which one gives you the good ending, though. But I assume this actually gives you the bad ending. That's right. I can't leave her alone right now. Alright. We'll run away together. Yeah, I feel like accepting her right now would probably lead to a bad ending. Looking into Amane's face, I find myself growing strangely contemplative. It hasn't been long at all since we met, but somehow, I feel like we've been together for many years already. In that short time, I've gained many priceless things from her. For that very reason, the thought that I might fail to save her from this predicament is immensely frustrating. I bite my lower lip, a sudden physical rush of anger spreading hotly through my body. I glanced out at Amane's words, probably because I got myself pointlessly worked up. Fresh blood's begun to flow from my wounded shoulder down my right arm. Dripping from my fingertips to stain the rocks below dusky red. The gunshot wound's problematic enough, but the blow to my head as I hit the ground must have been more severe than I initially realized. Without a determined effort to stay alert, the world before my eyes quickly seems to grow dim. Something salty and liquid begins to flow into my eyes. At first, I assumed the pain's causing me to sweat heavily. But when I wipe it away with my hand, I discover my forehead has begun to bleed as well. Cheh. Break time's over, get running, huh? The man's got no patience. Alright then. Listen up, Amane. We're up shit creek without the proverbial paddle. To be frank, there's a good chance we're both going to die here. Ready to stare down the Grim Reaper? No, you aren't. Thanks for trying, though. Human beings can't acclimatize themselves to the possibility of death as easily as that. The closer death grows, the more the mind flies to sentimentality and reminiscence. Remembering some friend from elementary school, you sniffle like a child. Just looking up into the sky at twilight, tears flow down your face. It takes 3 full days of living with death for the paralysis to set in. Yes, paralysis is the only word for it. Death begins to take on meaning in its own right. It becomes the only thing that does matter. Sometimes, emotions utterly numbed. The survivors stagger into its clutches with a stupid smile on their faces. Okay. Might have been the wrong thing to ask of you. Fine, let's try this instead. I'm not a charitable enough guy to roll over and die when someone tries to kill me. I'll fight back every inch of the way. And if it comes down to it, I want the last words out of my mouth to be, "Not yet." If you want to call yourself my woman, you're going to have to do the same. If you are so prepared to die, you can do it fighting at my side. Got that?
いいよ。ユージのためなら。
Thanks. I know I'm a stubborn pain in the ass, but that's what you signed up for.
ユージ、愛してるよ。
Stow it. Don't make me blush. I'll bleed out faster.
今すぐキスしたいけど、後だよね。
Don't ask questions if you know the answer. Alright, let's run.
どこまでもね。
As he licked his lips, dry from the tension of the hunt, Sakashida Keiji stalked cautiously through the jungle in pursuit of his prey. Some 10 minutes ago, his fleeing targets had split up to run in different directions. After a moment's hesitation, he had decided to quietly chase Kazami Yuji, his initial objective and the more problematic of the two. For some time, the boy had been blundering forward like a wounded beast, not even trying to conceal his flight. A crutch sneer spread uncontrollably across Akashida's face as he followed.
ち、下手くそめ。まだ鹿の方がマシな逃げ方をする。
Deer flee at full speed the instant they realize they are being targeted, and they won't stop until there's no longer the slightest signs of their pursuers. Even afterward, they'll stand quietly on full alert for 30 minutes or to an hour, cautiously ascertaining their safety. If their hunter gets tired of waiting and makes the slightest move, the deer will instantly take flight once more. Back to square one you go. The only thing to do is wait, erase yourself, melt into the forest, clear all emotion from your mind. In time, the deer will decide the crisis has passed and begin to move normally again. That precise instant is your best window of opportunity. Living things are never more vulnerable than in moments of relief. Of course, human beings are no exception. The moment your desperate flight finally brings you to safety is by far the most dangerous. This Kazami Yuji had piqued Sakashida's interest at first, but his flight had been clumsy, and for the last few minutes he'd shown no signs of movement whatsoever. Perhaps his endurance had simply reached its end.
風見雄二、少し買いかぶりすぎたか。
That morning, just after he'd called out to Kazami Yuji for the first time, Sakashida had momentarily felt his breath catch in his throat. Something about the man had set Sakashida's hair on end. It was a familiar feeling, the kind of tension he'd known when confronted by a large carnivore. Kazami Yuji's eyes were bottomlessly, disturbingly dark. In the set of his youthful, even boyish face, Sakashida thought he'd seen the hint of a powerful, unyielding will. And when those eyes flashed over him, they were very much the eyes of a beast appraising potential prey. Sakashida had seen such eyes before. His instructor at an overseas hunting school had looked at him the same way. That instructor had spent many years in the Marine Corps, participating in innumerable combat missions. A true soldier who'd fought many enemies and outlived them all. Until the vision of her right eye failed. It is her, interesting. It was said that instructor had been the greatest sniper even among the Marine elite. Those black, glittering eyes had possessed true power. Not the hollow threat of some city thug's leering glare. The raw menace of a beast's indifferent scrutiny. His knees had trembled at every glance. Kazami Yuji's eyes gleam with the same light as the genuine article Sakashida had once known. When the shock passed, That fact had brought him something like joy. He'd finally found a thing he had been searching for. His goal was revenge for his daughter. He had been searching for something to stand in his way. An effortless revenge would be meaningless. It would be no worthy tribute, no suitable final achievement, unless he was made to labor for it.
それがどうだ。もう諦めるのか？残念だよ。
With a short sigh, Sakashita took another step forward, slowly approaching his immobile target. Of course, this movement was executed with perfect stealth. He couldn't afford to be careless yet. There was still a chance this was some form of trap. Squinting in the dim light that filtered through the canopy above, Sakashita cautiously observed the ground ahead. Scattered drops of Kazami Yuji's blood form a trail forward into the brush. No obvious traps, but there was no telling what a wounded beast might be capable of. Surely a man with eyes like that wouldn't give up so easily. But in retrospect, there were many things about Kazami Yuji he didn't understand. How could a boy like that, still virtually a child, have acquired such impenetrably dark eyes? Since he was in Mahama Academy, a box made to keep the sick daughters of wealthy men discreetly out of sight, he must have some unique circumstances. But Sakashita's investigations had yielded little in the way of answers. The moment his informant had told him Suo Amane was in a relationship with a man, he had gathered all the information he could, none of it particularly revealing. Kazami Yuji, precise personal history unknown. After an extended period studying overseas, he had transferred to Mahama Academy only months before as a specially invited international scholarship student. He might not even be Japanese. In fact, Sakashita's face-to-face meeting with the man had left him with just such an impression. Kazami Yuji had spoken with the habitual slang and warped tone you'd expect from a young person these days. His words had been oddly stiff and formal, almost like a foreigner who'd learned Japanese from a textbook. And somehow, the way the boy held himself simply didn't feel typically Japanese. Even his build was unusual. He clearly trained his body intensely, but in a way utterly removed from the bodybuilder's quest for inflated masses of decorative muscle. Kazami Yuji was lean, sinewy, as if forged for a specific purpose. As Sakashita's thoughts rolled uneasily through this litany of incompatibility, something like an answer suddenly popped into his head. I feel like this is actually the good ending. Fuck! I actually want the bad ending. This is way too long to be a bad ending, I feel. But we'll see. An agent from the north? He'd heard something before about a school there that existed to produce killers. After enduring severe training from a very young age, it was said those students who satisfied their standards would be sent off to foreign countries. He had no idea whether there was any truth to the story, but applied to Kazami Yuji, it felt shockingly consistent. Even that strangely firm and erect bearing, so completely out of place in a modern youth, would be entirely understandable in a military deportment. Come to think of it, Sakashita's father had been no different. Men who spend time in the military are permanently left with a different set to their face. Even their way of thinking is transformed. No matter what the situation, they're always simultaneously considering the best and worst case scenario. A soldier, or perhaps a civilian in military employ, a contractor. When his thoughts progressed this far, Sakashita drew to a halt. This is a trap. All of a sudden, Sakashita felt very nearly convinced of that. He stared cautiously through the trees at Kazami Yuji's white uniform, some 30 meters ahead. Sakashita Keiji was aware that he suffered from a mild case of night blindness. Although it had no effect on his daily life, recently his astigmatism had been progressing as well. When the lighting grew poor, he had significant difficulty making out the exact shape of distant objects. In the dim, gloomy forest where the treetops intercepted most of the sun's light, he could clearly make out the white school uniform on Kazami Yuji's back. But there was a possibility the boy was making use of that sharp contrast to deceive him. Once the thought occurred to him, it started to look almost like the jacket had simply been draped over a suitable tree branch. God damn it. Cursing silently to himself, Sakashita lifted his shotgun to his hip once more. His anxiety and nervous tension rendered his movements somewhat sloppy, and the gun rattled in his hand as he brought it to bear. 30 meters ahead, the uniformed figure flinched in surprise and turned in his direction. Just my mind playing dirty tricks on me. Nothing but a child after all. Lightly exhaling in relief, Sakashida took one step forward toward the white uniform. In that instant, you just let down your guard, didn't you? His face contorted with agitation and fright. Sakashida spun around toward the voice, swinging his gun up to his chest, but there was no one behind him. Wrong way. And once again, the voice was behind him. Sakashida wheeled around a second time, only to find himself facing a large, flat boulder. Realizing the boy had thrown his voice off the wall of stone, he ground his teeth in frustration. Swinging from side to side, his gun and eyes moving as one, Sakashida searched frantically for the source of the voice. Like I said, wrong way. The instant Sakashida screamed those words, he heard a bush rustle with movement a few meters behind him. But rather than Kazami Yuji, his eyes and the muzzle of his gun found something else entirely. A long tree branch curved back like a tightly drawn bow. The branch instantly whipped forward into Sakashida's face. A split second after he squeezed his eyelids shut, the rough wooden bow? Bogue? The fuck? Bogue struck him across both eyes. White stars exploding across his field of vision. Sakashida staggered backward, utterly blind. Oh shit. By the time the thought ran through his mind, it was already too late. His arm was jerked behind him. An unseen hand twisted the lever of his gun sharply upward, and the break-action barrel swung open. I told you that was the wrong way, you know. The voice was behind Sakashida again, but this time he felt a warm breath on his ear. This can't be happening. His ears ringing, frantic and terrified, Sakashida tried to turn toward his enemy. But just as his head began to rotate, a hand reached out from behind and firmly seized him by the face. 4 fingers sunk onto his eyeball, as if to gouge it out of the socket, disabling any attempt at escape. As the long middle finger of Kazami Yuji's hand dug savagely into his right eye, Sakashida Keiji shrieked in agony and horror. What kind of a monster is he? The instant the thought ran through Sakashida's mind, a heavy kick to the back of his knee sent him sprawling forward. His head, yanked back against the momentum of his body, came to rest defenselessly against Kazami Yuji's chest, chin up and throat utterly exposed. He's going to kill me. Sakashida's hand, still holding his gun, was pinned against his back. His shoulder and elbows screamed with pain, bones audibly creaking. His weak hand, the only possible means of fighting back, was desperately clutching at Yuji's wrist in an attempt to keep his eyeball in its socket. He was completely powerless. If the man behind him stabbed his throat with a sharp branch, let alone a knife, he would simply die. Even as he screamed the word, Sakashida knew it was a laughable, hypocritical request. He knew this man wasn't about to stop anytime soon, no matter how nicely he asked. But if it distracted Kazami Yuji from inflicting pain on him for even the briefest of moments, any words would do. Sorry, not quite. The same dispassionate whisper as always. Under these circumstances, it sounded so pitiless and so cruel that Sakashida involuntarily swallowed all the saliva in his mouth. As the warm liquid made its way down Sakashida's throat, his utterly exposed Adam's apple bobbed violently up and down. Close, though. Everyone always gets so very close. What? You think I'd hesitate? Unfortunately for you, I'm used to patricide. Especially when it comes to worthless scum-sucking fathers like you. Very simple, Mr. Sakashida. You only know how to kill prey that doesn't fight back, and you picked a fight with someone who only knows how to kill human beings. Here's a tip. If you want to kill a human being, you need to go and prepare for the possibility you will be killed instead. Oh, shut the hell up already. As Sakashita collapses to the ground, I let out a brief sigh, then crouch down to strip him of his hunting shotgun and equipment. Using a nylon rope and packing tape I find in his backpack, I quickly restrain him.
終わったの?
Yeah, somehow or other. Amane tentatively draws near, taking in the scene. Accepting my school uniform from her outstretched hand, I gingerly slip it back on. Staring down at Sakashita's limp, tightly bound body, Amane furrows her brow anxiously.
殺しちゃったの?
Why the hell would I bother tying up a dead man? He's alive.
そうならよかった.
Is it? You do remember who we're talking about here, right?
相手が誰であっても、もう人が死ぬのは嫌だから。
Well, that's understandable. I have no intention of adding another layer to Amane's trauma. That happens to be the main reason this man's still breathing. It's all good in retrospect, since it worked out. But to be honest, that was one hell of a tight scrape.
そうだよ。私だって怖かったし痛かったし、うまくいってくれなきゃ泣くとこだよ。
Pouting, Amane holds a hand to the back of her head. We devised a plan on the run, a trap using a tree branch to momentarily rob Sakashita of his vision. And what made it possible was, in fact, Amane's own hair. With no weapons on hand, we had to devise our own. And as we ran, those long, healthy locks quickly caught my attention. On average, her hairs were a full 120 centimeters long. By tying many strands together, we could use them as substitute trap wires. At first, Amane clapped her hands happily, saying something about finally finding a practical application of digital communication, but after having nearly 30 strands of hair yanked out of her scalp, she was half crying from the intense pain. Don't be mad, alright? I'm grateful. You're pretty damn near perfect back there. Squatting down in the darkness in my uniform to lure Sakashita into the open, she'd manipulated the strand of wire in her hand to provide the crucial distraction with impeccable timing. There might have been 30 meters between them, but she was still at gunpoint. Her composure was nothing short of remarkable, under the circumstances. Well done, Amane. This strategy couldn't have succeeded without you. You're getting an official commendation. Amane smiles as I drop my hand on her head and gently scratch her scalp. Her cheeks flushing pink. Kinda feels like petting a smart, overgrown puppy that came running back with a tennis ball in its mouth.
ねえ、もう終わったんだよね。
My only response to Amane's question is a furrowed brow. I've seen this expression before. It's the third kind of face a woman can show you. Not the face of a woman you can kiss, not the face of a woman you can't kiss. The so-called special case expression. I hate you, Amane. Staring blankly at that expectant, almost demanding face, I suddenly feel very, very tired. Not yet. An expedition isn't over until you reach your front door. Save it for when we get back.
もうユージ?
We're going home. I'm exhausted.
もう
I can't believe I got the good ending. Damn you, Amane. Impassively allowing Amane's disgruntled mutterings to roll over my aching back, I lead her down the mountain. Sakashita's father we leave on the spot, trussed like a turkey. Once my cell phone finally picks up a signal, I gave JB a call and push everything onto her. Naturally, that shaggy-headed dork doesn't take the news well. It takes a good deal of patient effort to explain the situation, and I ended up sentenced to present myself at headquarters for an oral hearing and delivery of a detailed written report. The gunshot wounds on my back are painful enough, but now I've got a pain in the ass to deal with as well. 1 week after the incident, the wounds on my back had mostly stopped aching. My right arm still supported by a thick sling hanging around my neck. I paid a visit to JB's office at company headquarters to offer my formal explanation.
また面倒な仕事を増やしてくれたわね。
Yeah, you have my sincerest apologies.
あんたってはいっつもそう。朝子もそうだった。
Damn, I'm actually already over 3 hours on this recording. This is definitely gonna be cut into 2 parts. Guess it comes with being I-9029. Might as well just resign yourself to your fate.
何よ偉そうに。だいたいそんな怪我までして。電話では聞いてなかったわよ。
Figured I'd save that for the formal report. What? Were you worried or something?
うぬぼれるんじゃないわよ。あなたの体や命はあなたのものじゃないのよ。大事な国の資産なの。わかってる？
Sorry. Yeah, I understand.
ちっともわかってないじゃないのよ。どれだけ心配したと思ってるの？
What? So you were worried after all?
してないわよ。私はその国防装置としてのあなたの損壊を心配してたっていうか。
Yeah, like the nation actually gives a crap about Yuji. You're so full of it.
うるさい！ぐちゃぐちゃ言わないの？なんなのよ、もう。
Is it just me, or has JB been veering dangerously close to Michiru territory lately? Maybe it really does come with the hair color. So, what happened to that Sakashita man afterward?
あら、今朝の新聞読んでないの？
I spent the morning flirting with Amane, so unfortunately not.
坂下刑事、死んだわよ。
Dead?
ええ、収容された病院の屋上から飛び降り自殺したらしいわね。新聞にはそう書いてあったし、今朝のニュース番組やワイドショーでもそう言っているわ。
Suicide?
自殺の原因は不明ってことになっているけど、おそらくは娘の死をきっかけとした転落人生を苦にといったところじゃないかしらね。
If he was the sort to kill himself, I'm pretty sure the incident we're here to discuss never would have taken place.
今回の事件？何？それ。
Sorry. You covered it up?
事件なんて起きてもいないし、坂下氏は人生を儚んでの自殺。それが全てよ。
Did you give him a push?
いやーねー、人聞きの悪い。
When your voice gets all high-pitched like that, there's always something ugly going on behind the scenes.
一応ね、他にも思いついたんだけどね。娘が死んで生きる目標と理性を失った坂下氏は猟銃を手にして無差別に学生を襲い始めるの。街中で猟銃を持った坂下氏が「なんで生きてんだお前もお前も!」とか叫びながら通り魔的に猟銃を乱射しているところをサットに射殺されて決着がつく。どう？
That's a pretty macabre, I think that's how you say that, imagination you've got there. Even in the best case scenario, there would be heavy casualties and massive media attention.
でしょ？だから彼は自殺したのよ。今は大事件で国民の目をそらせるような政治問題もないしね。地味な粉飾で終わらせたってわけ。わかる？
I'll pretend it is.
はい、お利口さん。
And you say I'm full of myself. Can I leave now?
結構よ。なに？そんなにあまねちゃんが恋しいの？
Looking at your hair too long makes my eyes sting.
金髪は嫌いじゃないくせに。
Depends on the woman it's growing on. Alright then, I'll be going.
あ、ユージ、ちょっと待って。
Hmm? You need something else?
前にあなたが言ってた予備社員の件だけど、条件付きで OK が出たわよ。
Conditional, is it?
そう、条件。今のままではダメだけれど、昇級試験を受けて合格すれば OK よ。
Head office examinations or Japanese branch examinations?
両方。いつまでも特務部長ではいられないでしょ。少尉になったら予備士官に登録してあげる。
You're telling me to go back to school yet again?
自宅から通えるように手配はしてあげるわよ。
What a pain in the ass.
あなたの強制任期はまだ1年半もあるわ。ゆっくり考えなさいな。
My current rank is 5th from the bottom of the table, and she's telling me to jump another 5. If it was just as HQ's exams, it'd be absurd enough. But demanding I also pass the Japanese test for every rank is downright sadistic. If I keep working the way I am now, it'll take a decade of serious effort to hit that rank. Even if I renew my contract and accept this training course, I can't see it ending in less than 7 years. Talk about delayed gratification. So that's how it is.
つまり、なんだろう、専門の学校に通うわけ？
Probably, yeah.
じゃあ、転校しちゃうの？
No, I'd be starting a new school in 1.5 years. In other words, after my graduation.
すぐじゃないんだ。
That's right. After graduating from here, I'll be going to a new school for about 7 years at a guess. Mind holding off on the marriage until after that? Well, of course you'd mind. Yeah, dumb question.
ユージが待ってろって言うなら待つよ。
No, that won't be necessary. I'll talk it over with the higher-ups. There are restrictions on marriage as well, but once my field term is over, things should ease up. Slightly. I doubt it'll be a problem.
本当？じゃあ、ユージがここを卒業したら結婚してくれるの？
Got that backward, Amane. I'm the one asking you. Please marry me.
わかった、する、結婚する。
Well, it's going to be a little while yet, but thanks. We'll make this work.
任せて。じゃあ、私がユージより1年早く卒業するから、その間に自分の仕事見つけておくよ。
A job? Why?
だってユージは卒業してもまた学生になるんでしょ？だったら私が稼いで食べさせてあげる。
Well, even as a student, I'll be earning 106,600 yen monthly stipend, with a bonus twice a year. See, now that's actually a good amount of paying money, Yuji. It's actually really good. And from what JB tells me, the head office covers a certain percentage of housing costs and other living expenses. Wait. 106,000 monthly. I guess that's not bad, but you are in Japan. That's still not a lot, actually. Especially for someone that heads a family. And from what JB tells me, the head office covers a certain percentage of housing costs and other living expenses, including an additional allowance for married employees.
じゃあ、私は専業主婦になればいいのかな？
If you want to work, I won't stop you. Shouldn't really be necessary, though.
じゃあ、子育てに専念できるね。赤ちゃんの靴下を編む練習でも始めようかな。
I think you're jumping the gun a bit on that one. Jumping the gun a bit, still a ways off. Those thoughts prove surprisingly transient. Time always passes more quickly than you expect. All too quickly, half a year had passed, and Amane graduated from Mahama Academy. That said, she immediately rented an apartment within walking distance of the school, so I didn't exactly have to go out of my way to see her. In fact, she made a routine of coming to the student dorm every morning, making breakfast for me and Makina, and passing us our lunch boxes. In the evening, we'd eat dinner at Amane's apartment. This pattern held for maybe a month or so. Soon enough, Makina grew irritated with the effort of walking between the dorm and Amane's building. After renting the room next door, Makina presented the school with an application demanding special permission to commute, under the pretense of ensuring a secure living environment. Somehow, she forced Chizuru to sign off on it. Next-door neighbors might not sound too bad, but in reality, Makina was soon virtually squatting in Amane's room again, just as when they'd been in the dorm together. Another year after that, this time it was my turn to graduate. And as planned for some time now, I entered a special technical school specified by headquarters. In addition to the monthly written exams, My new student life involved irregular, sometimes completely unannounced, physical fitness tests, often amounting to something like a very rigorous and painful game of musical chairs. At first, I was living in Amani's room and commuting, but the daily travel on top of the grueling training proved too much. I rented a room near the new school's campus and returned to Amani on the weekends. A pattern that held for probably a couple months. Oh, some time. But after about 2 years of this temporary solution, Makina finally chirped, "When are you gonna get married already?" Startled, Amani and I looked into each other's faces. Having reached the mutual conclusion that it was, in fact, about time we got around to that, we were married soon thereafter, finally fulfilling our promise to each other. And not long ago, 5 years after my graduation from Mahama, after various trials and tribulations, I cleared the last of my required exams well ahead of schedule by virtue of my superb grades. At long last, I entered the permanent reserve, gaining a degree of freedom. For my day job, I chose to become a teacher at my alma mater, Mahama Academy. Hey, need a gym teacher or something? It'd been years since we talked about this, and I'd asked half as a joke, but here I am, ready to teach a new crop of Mahama students here English. Life works in mysterious ways, as they say. Hello, someone who never actually graduated. Yeah, life is just full of mysteries. For example, why is Makina still a student here? It's probably number 1 on my list at the moment. Okay, why is she still in Mahama?
あれ？知らなかったの？あの子、今年で8年生だよ。でも、来年は留年できないから、いよいよ卒業かな？
From what Amani tells me, Makina repeated her grades 7 times in a row, ending up something of a super freshman. By all rights, her age should be a serious problem, but Makina was so childish to begin with. Even now, it feels like her appearance has just caught up with the other girls.
あれ、ボバ太郎の音だね。マキナ帰ってきたかな？
She poached Bobataro off you?
あは、まあね。私はもう乗らないし、マキナに免許取ったらあげるって言ったら、本当に免許取ってきちゃったんだもの。ただいまー、あまねー。今日のおやつなに？おかえり、マキナ。外から帰ったらまずは手を洗いなさい。おやつはそれからよ。
I assume they just don't have the sprites for these girls that are, you know, older. That's why they're showing the sky right now. There's a reason Amani stopped riding her bike. Specifically, because she's given birth to a child. Naturally, I had a hand in this. Okay, maybe they do. I actually did not remember this.
こらこら、嘘を教えるな嘘を。っていうかあんた、落とさないでよ。大丈夫だってば。私だって昔の私とは違うのよさ。そう言いつつ、この前その子を肩車してて、天井の鴨居に頭をぶつけたの誰よ。おい、私か。そうか、ごめんな。でも女の子はちっとぐれ頭悪い方がモテるんだぜ。
Don't be ridiculous. Women are all about cooking. As long as she can make a decent meal, even a bit of an ugly girl won't have any trouble finding a man to bring back the bacon.
大丈夫なのよさ。だってアマネーの子なのよ。絶対お料理の上手な子に育つのよ。あのさ、
Oh, sorry.
その
But
子
you're
まだ
done.
3ヶ月だよ。どんな子になるかなんてわからないわよ。
Forgot how you talk, Makina. Been a while since we actually listened to your voice. She'll be a beauty.
リッチになる。リッチにはなりません。くっくっく。そいつはどうかな。アマネーのエロ遺伝子が組み込まれているのよ。きっとどうしようもないスケベ女に育つのよさ。ねえお兄ちゃん、もしこの子が突然ろくでもない男を連れてきて、この人と結婚するって言い出したらどうする？
The hell are you talking about? There's only one thing to do. Rip off my shirt and yell, "Alright, bring it on, punk."
それじゃうちのお父さんと同じじゃん。
Right. I beat the living hell out of your dad, fair and square. A bride is something you win, not something you're given.
おかげでお父さん、腰を悪くして3日ぐらいお店休んだんだよ。
He's the one who ignored your mother's approval and started shouting, "If you want a Mane, you have to take her over my dead body." Sometimes words just aren't enough.
ほんじゃ、もしこの娘を嫁にもらいに来たアホがいたらぶっ飛ばすの？相手がアラブの石油王でも？
Well, I don't care what he does for a job, as long as he can protect my daughter no matter what. If you call yourself a man, then defend your woman with your life. If you can't promise me that, go to hell home. Now, if a spineless idiot like that has the nerve to even show up, I'll friggin' kill him. For real.
殺すなよ。っていうか、あんたに勝てる男なんているの？それに、その子が好きだって言うなら、それでいいじゃない。
Of course not, Amane. Are you crazy? You're already turning into the classic overindulgent mother, you know that? But I guess you do have a point this time. I wouldn't completely ignore my daughter's opinion on the matter. If she asked for my blessing, I'd ask her a question right back. Would you throw away your life for this man? And if after a day passes, her opinion still hasn't changed, I guess I might be able to sorrowfully approve of the marriage. Probably. Possibly. Maybe.
なんだその曖昧な後半。
What's so funny?
なんか幸せだなってさ。ただそう思っただけ。
I see.
そう、すっごく幸せ。あんなことがあった私がこんなに幸せでいいんだろうか。そんな不安に時々襲われる。それでもこの人と一緒なら、ユウジと一緒なら、きっといつか私の罪や罰が許される日が来る。そんな予感がするの。やがて牧野も学園を卒業し、私たちの部屋から出ていくことになった。卒業後はドイツにある美術の学校に留学するとのことで、当分日本へは帰ってこないらしい。いたらいたでうるさい子だけれど、いざいなくなるとなんだか自分の娘が出て行ったみたいで少し寂しい。美浜で仕事をしながら予備社員の仕事を続けていたユウジも、ここ最近はめったに呼び出されなくなり、年に数日間の教官としての仕事をするだけになっていた。そんな予備社員の仕事もあと1年もすれば引退の時期らしい。結婚して20年。結局私はこの年になるまでユウジがどこの会社で何の仕事をしていたのかを知らないでいる。別に知りたいとも思わないし、ユウジは私との約束通りいつも無事に帰ってきてくれた。だったらそれでいい。それ以上は贅沢というものだ。ただユウジは夜中に苦しげな声を上げて目を覚ますことがたびたびあって、それだけが少し気がかりだった。声をかければ何でもないとだけ答えるユウジに無力感だけが残った。そして気がつけばもう40年。
You definitely sound older, Amane, but I still know that's your voice.
私たちの娘も結婚し、来年には孫が生まれてくるという。私ももうすっかりおばあちゃんだけれど、相変わらずユウジと共に穏やかな老後というものをそれなりに満喫している。年とともにいろいろなものが穏やかになってきたのだろう。時間の流れさえ穏やかに感じられるようになり、そしてユウジは夜中に苦しげな声を上げて 何度も目を覚ますことがなくなった。隣の布団で穏やかな顔で眠るユージを見て、ああ、この人の戦争はやっと終わったのだと。やっと地獄から帰ってくることができたのだと安心をした。そんな穏やかで静かな日々から半年後、ユージにがんが見つかった。痛くても苦しくても我慢してしまうユージのこと。発見した時にはすでに手遅れで、余命は5ヶ月と診断された。それでも私たちの生活に大きな変化はなかった。当たり前に生き、当たり前の毎日を送り、また当たり前の今日が来る。余命5ヶ月と診断されていたユージは、まるで計算していたかのように、5ヶ月目の日曜日の朝、私たち家族に看取られて奇跡に入った。ユージも死んで、ただ一人残された私は、ユージが死に際に残した「まだお前の罰は終わらないぞ」との言葉を守り続け、その後も「ありがとう」を言い続ける余生を送る。ユージを失った生活も思ったほど寂しくはなかった。目を閉じればユージと過ごした思い出が走馬灯のようにいくつも思い出すことができる。ユージとは何度も喧嘩はしたけれど、思い返せば全てが楽しい思い出で、出した食事に一度も文句を言われたことがないのが私の誇りだった。きっと私ももう長くはないだろう。もう思い残すこともあまりないけれど、いつでもまたすぐに会えると思えば、少しぐらいは待たせても構わないだろう。私は相変わらずそういうところで少しだけユージには意地悪なのだ。ユージが死んで5年目の夏、数えてみればあの人と出会ってから50回目の夏になる。東京で暮らす娘夫婦が一番下の子を連れて帰省した。久しぶりに見た孫の顔は幼い頃の私によく似ているような気がする。この子が生まれた時、ユージもなんだかお前に似ているなと言っていたっけ。きっと今年が最後の夏になる。そんな予感がしていた私は、義理の息子が運転する車の後部座席に乗って夏休みの旅行に出かけた。向かった先は、私が事故に遭って生き残った樹海が見下ろせる公園。私の唯一の心残りといえば、風見和樹が私のために残したあの荷物だけだった。ここはあの頃とあまり変わらない。もうここを訪れる人もあまりいないのだろう。現場へと続く山道はすっかりと荒れ果て、老いた私の足腰ではとてもではないけれど登っていけるような道ではなかった。入山を諦めた私は 日の当たる場所に置かれたバス停のベンチに腰掛け、現場に向かって手を合わせる。目を閉じれば、まだあの頃のバスケ部の仲間たちの顔を思い出す。思い出す顔の一つ一つは今でも苦痛に歪み、怒りや悲しみをたたえている。みんなごめんなさい。そしてありがとう。こんなに長生きしてしまった私はいつになったら許されるのだろう。もう私に罰を与えてくれる幼児はいないというのに。ねえ和樹、私どうしよう。私一人じゃ答えが出せないよ。
ねえおばあちゃん。
なーに？
私のおじいちゃんってどんな人だったの？
Your boobs kinda got a downgrade there, Amane. But I guess that always happens when you get older.
そっか。おじいちゃんが死んだ時、あんたはまだ小さかったからね。でもどうして急に？
なんかね、おばあちゃんが元気ないみたいだから、おじいちゃんの話をしてきなさいってママが言ったの。
相変わらずだね、あの子も。変に気が回って不器用に優しいところは、あの子はおじいちゃんに似たのかもしれないね。
おじいちゃんは優しい人だった？
うん、そうね。そしてとても臆病で勇敢な人だった。
臆病で勇敢？
臆病というよりは何事にも慎重で、何でもよく考えて行動する人だった。そしてどんなに困難な状況であっても、誰もが諦めてしまうようなことに直面しようとも、何クソと立ち上がる勇気を持っていた人だったわね。覚えてないあんたに言ってもピンとこないか。
時々むちゃくちゃを言うけど、優しいおじいちゃんだったのは覚えてるよ。
そっか。
おじいちゃんが死んじゃって寂しい？
どうだろうね。実はそれほどでもないけれど、やっぱりどこかで寂しいと思っているのかもね。でもきっと私にももうすぐお迎えが来て、またおじいちゃんに会えるよ。若い頃は死ぬのがあんなに怖かったのに、今はあんまり怖くないしね。
おばあちゃんは死ぬの怖くないの？
怖くはないけれど、少し寂しいかな。
寂しいって何が？
そうね。私はきっと地獄へ行くんじゃないかなって。そこには多分知り合いはいなくて。だからそれが少し寂しい。
まあそれは大丈夫じゃないかな。5年間悪いことをしなかったら天国へ行けるんだって前におじいちゃんが言ってたよ。
そんな運転免許じゃあるまいし。っていうか、あんたそれ何を手に持ってるの？
これお守りだよ。昔ね、おじいちゃんの病院にお見舞いに行った時にもらったの。これね、どんな危機的状況でもこれを持っていれば必ず守ってくれるんだって。すっげえ効果あるからお前にやるっておじいちゃんがくれた。
あの人、まだそんなもの持ってたんだ。
Probably that stupid charm Imane made from her pubic hair.
懐かしくも、その小さな犬のぬいぐるみは、昔まだ私たちが学生だった頃、あの人に持たせたものだ。
Okay, maybe it's a new one.
ところどころがほつれてはいても、何度も修繕した跡がある。こんな子供じみたお守りをずっと大事にしてくれていたのかと思うと、涙が出そうになる。それと同時に、この子はそのぬいぐるみの中に私の毛が入ってい
So it
るこ
is
とを
that
知らない
one.
のだと
So
思え
dumb.
ばおかしくもなる。さすがにもうボロボロだね。なんだか嫌な凄みが出てる感じ。
だから効き目がありそうなんじゃない？おじいちゃんはこのワンちゃんに何度も命を救われたって言ってたよ。
そんな話、私には一度もしてくれなかったけどな。
しまった、恥ずかしいからおばあちゃんには黙ってろって言われたの忘れてた。
あの人らしいというかなんというか。
そうだ、おばあちゃんにワンちゃんのお礼するのも忘れてた。
お礼？
おじいちゃんがね、幸運の犬っころをやるからおばあちゃんにお礼をしろって言っててね。ちょっと待ってね、確かね、いつか渡そうと思ってお財布の中に入れておいたはずなんだけど、
なんだろう、何をくれるの？
あった、はいこれ、おばあちゃんにあげる。
それは？
これはね、天国行きのチケット。
天国行きの？
そう、これさえあれば天国行き間違いなし。
ありがとう。おそらくは落書き帳の切れ端だろう。長方形の画用紙にはクレヨンでお花や動物の絵が描かれ、あまり上手とは言えない文字が書かれている。年をとって老眼がだいぶ進行した私の目にも、そこにははっきりと天国行きと書かれているのが見て取れた。私は天国へ行ってもいいのかな？
どうして行ったらいけないの？おじいちゃんも待ってるよ。
そうなんだけどね。
大丈夫、きっともうみんな許してくれるよ。だっておばあちゃんはいい人だもの。
そうかな。
そうだよ、私おばあちゃんがいてくれて嬉しいもんね。おばあちゃん、私のおばあちゃんでいてくれてありがとうね。
その言葉が嬉しくて、上手にありがとうが言える子に育ってくれたことが嬉しくて、こんな私にありがとうと言ってくれる存在が嬉しくて、私は涙が止まらなくなった。ありがとう。私も嬉しい。ありがとう。そしてユージもありがとう。私生きていて本当によかった。今私は救われたような気がします。いろいろなことがありました。いろいろなことに悩んだり、自分で自分を苦しめたりもして、決して穏やかだったとは言えない人生だったけれど、それでも決して悪い人生ではなかったなと思えるのは とう。あなたが私と一緒にいてくれたからだと今改めてそう思うのです。だから心からありがとうとあなたに言いたくて、今私もそちらへ参ります。そうしたらまたいじめてくれるねえ、ゆうゆじ。
おばあちゃん、どうしたの？泣いてるの？なんだ、おばあちゃん笑ってるのね。よかったね、おばあちゃん。おばあちゃん、寝ちゃったの？
孫の声が少しずつ遠くなる。見上げた青い空には白い雲。まるで手が届きそうなその雲の隙間に、懐かしい美浜の制服を着たあの人があの頃の若い姿のまま私を待ってくれていた。その姿に年がいもなく大声を上げて泣きそうになる私を見て、あの人はいつもの不器用な笑顔で笑ってくれた。あまねと呼ぶあの人の声に私は手を伸ばす。握り返したあの人の手はあの頃のままとても温かい手をしていた。それがとても嬉しくて、その手を取った瞬間、私はこれで全てが許されたのだとはっきりとそう感じた。
Well, that clearly was a very much happy ending compared to Machina's, wasn't it? I feel like there's some clear bias towards these endings, you know? Jeez. Man, Amane is gonna be naked in some of these, isn't she? I'm definitely gonna have to censor Amane. Damn you, Amane, making me work for this. But yeah, you could definitely understand why, while I don't necessarily like Amane as a character. Wow, it's actually censored from me. What the? Thank you. You know, like shining anime light. I can't believe that's actually censored. What the? What was I saying? I was saying about how, like, Amane's story is actually very nice. But it's not a story that I would personally go through because I'm not the type of person that would stick with Amane, you know? Man, I feel bad that I did not get the bad ending first, because this ending is actually very good. Jeez, I feel very... I don't know, like Machina's ending, or not Machina's ending, but Machina's whole route was heartwarming. This one's like kinda somber. Wow, they're showing tidbits of the H scene, but it is censored, so I think we're safe. I can't believe you're doing this, you fools. Freaking Amani and her stupid sex scenes, man. It's just too abundant. We are going to go see the bad ending though. But I don't think the bad ending is that long. In Machina's case, the bad ending and the good ending are kind of similar length. I think for Amani's case, the bad ending is actually super short. Damn it! You're also showing this? Stop showing the H scenes, damn you! Amane, you need better scenes or better CGs. At least it's censored, right? What the fuck? Yeah, this ending is really somber. I really like it. But, like I said, I don't think this is an ending that I would ever traverse in my path in life. The song is also really good. I actually prefer this song in comparison to Machina's ending theme. Nothing beats Sachi's though. I'm not sure if after this it's gonna be Sachi and next in line. It might be Michiru. What I do know is that Yumiko should be last. But yeah, I really like this route overall. I think my thoughts on the matter of this route is still the same as when I played it back then. Amane is a character, to me, I don't like her, but I understand her character, you know? I understand her character completely. A route, though, is probably a 9.5 out of 10 for me. Might even be a 10 out of 10. I especially really like that ending. Damn, look at that. Amane, you got wow. In comparison to Machina's ending, Amane is getting everything, man. Now I feel so sad for Machina. Because Amane's happy ending is actually super happy. Look at that shit. Her grandkid gave her a ticket to heaven. And look at that. They even got a CG of her going to heaven. Jeez. And now, of course, the out-of-place music for the staff that's in English. Which I'm going to skip if I can. And I can't, damn it! This is so out of place, damn you! Ah, damn you, English cast. English localization team. Man, I've been recording for almost 4 hours straight. 3 hours, 50 minutes. Holy shit. Yowza, that's insane, actually. I haven't recorded like this in a long time. Amane ending theme, Home. That's a beautiful one. Machina's is the Forest of Doubt. What about the others? Let me actually take a look at the names. Michiru's Skip. I assume after this it's Michiru's then. What's Sachi's theme? Sachi's theme, just like today. And then Holograph. This Yumiko's ending theme. If the next one is actually Michiru's, this is going to be my least favorite one. If everything is still the same as how I view it back in the day. I do think that Machina and Amane's route are probably top 2 for me. And after that, it's probably going to be Sachi's. Michiru and Yumiko, I don't know. I feel like those two are at the bottom tier. I like Yumiko as a character, but I do feel like after going through Machina's and Amane's, Yumiko's route was not as good. Not bad, but not as good. Because you'd really hype up the best for last, right? But in Yumiko's case, it was kind of like expected.
Grisaia no Kajitsu.
Alright, let's actually get that bad ending. And I'm going to take a break and go to bed. Alright, let's get that bed ending, Amane. We're in no position to have a debate about this. Amane, please, try to understand. This is the only thing we can do right now. It's the strategy that leaves us the highest possibility of surviving. Okay, good girl. I'll be the decoy and run to the right. You break in the opposite direction once he follows. Got it? Cheh. Break time's over. Get running, huh? The man's got no patience. Listen to me, Amane. Focus on keeping yourself alive. Don't even think about giving up. Yeah, I see that typo. I'm not Kazuki. I'm going to survive this, and I'm going to hold you in my arms again. The only thing you need to do is believe in me and run. Understand?
Yuji!
Run? I've been running for a very long time now, from many things. I ran away from this mountain, deserting my friends. I ran away from those who blamed me, hiding myself from their eyes. I ran away from my own guilty conscience, using Yuji as my refuge. If Yuji thinks he can protect me by pretending to flee, I can do the same for him. No matter what, I'll never run again. This time, it's my turn. I'll get Yuji out of here alive. But to achieve that, I need a way to fight back. I need a weapon. Oh, sorry. That said, we left all our luggage back at the monument. And even then, we hadn't packed anything that might serve as a weapon. A rock or tree branch off the ground would probably be more effective. What do I do? As I moved my hand through the pocket of my jeans in search of anything useful, my fingertips brushed against a folded sheet of paper. The memo Kazuki left me with 6 years ago. On the final page, there was a roughly sketched map to the hidden stash we'd been planning to unearth. What did Kazuki leave behind for me? When I was in trouble, Kazuki would always save me. For some reason, I feel like she's going to help me one last time. To be perfectly honest, I can understand how Captain Sakashira's father feels. Sometimes, the pain of losing someone you love can prove simply unendurable. Rationally, he knew that it was nothing but a cruel accident. For a while, he accepted that. But I understand why he came to despise me, the one and only survivor of that nightmare. Why did I survive? Why not his daughter? What was so different about us that our fates had diverged so sharply? It's no surprise that he might conclude I was a coward, a traitor, a monster. It was the most comforting possible interpretation, maybe the only one he could bear to accept. That comforting bitterness slowly twisted his thoughts, until at last, Suo Amane murdered my daughter became his truth. For 6 years, that hatred built up in a dark corner of his mind, fed by misery and pain, given no outlet, no release. With the spark of my classmate's message, it must have simply exploded. Unable to endure the overwhelming sorrow of his daughter's death, he transformed it all into hatred against me. That powerful anger gave him the strength to crawl up from the depths of despair. Just as I used Yuji to bury my pain, that man, found his refuge in his loathing for me. I understand. I really truly do. All too well. But even so,
それにユージを巻き込むことだけは絶対に許せないよ。
after reaching the spot indicated on Kazuki's map, I begin to dig into the earth using a tree branch. Every time I thrust into the rocky ground, the rough branch pierces my palm with painful splinters. Even so, I push into the earth again and again, begging for help.
カズキ、助けて。ユージがピンチなんだよ。ねえ、お願い、助けてよ。
The stash isn't buried as deeply as I'd expected. Soon enough, a dirty blue cooler emerges from the earth. This was something that had belonged to the basketball club. We'd searched the overturned bus high and low for it, but never found it. We'd ended up deciding it must have gone flying out of a window as we tumbled down the cliff, but
カズキが隠し持っていたんだ。
after 6 years buried beneath the earth, the words Takizono Private Academy Basketball Club that we'd written on the side in permanent marker have faded to an illegible smudge. But other than that, the plastic box doesn't seem to have been damaged.
一体何が入っているの、カズキ。
I snap open the buckles that were locking the cooler's lid in place and gently swing it open.
これは。
Inside, I find a large quantity of dirty water that must have leaked through the cracks in the lid, a single kitchen knife, and a plastic Tupperware container. Other than that, there's nothing but soggy garbage decade beyond recognition by years of hydrolysis.
この包丁は。
I remember it well. This is the knife I pointed at my neck on that day. The knife Kazuki gently took from my shaking hands. Why is this here? Whatever the case, I have a weapon now. The only other item that hasn't rotted away to nothing is the opaque white piece of Tupperware. When I take the damn plastic container in my hand and give it a tentative shake, something inside makes a dry rustling sound.
なんだろう。
Offering a silent prayer to nothing in particular, I slowly peel off the lid, by now half fused to the container below. Inside, there's a folded sheet of white notebook paper.
また手紙。
With trembling hands, I unfold the letter and begin to read. To my dear best friend, Suo Amane. First of all, congratulations on getting out alive. If you're reading this letter, I expect several years have passed since the accident, and you're finally beginning to calm down and face up to what occurred here. I'm sure you opened this box in search of answers, an explanation of the events after your escape. Therefore, I'll now give you the executive summary. Everyone died from illness. Surprise? Well, I should think so. Very well then. I'll give you a short rundown of the particulars. The trigger of these events, that is to say, the ultimate cause of their deaths, was eating the improperly prepared meat of Hiroka-san. Hiroka had spent the last 2 weeks of her life lying in her sickbed with fractured legs. Owing to the unsanitary conditions and her severe vitamin deficiencies, she ultimately began to suffer from severe skin diseases. You remember this, I assume? In addition, her immune system had been weakened badly by a number of factors, including her advanced malnutrition and irregular excretion. Bacterial toxins built up heavily within her body, directly leading to her death. If we'd cremated Hiroka-san's remains immediately afterward, there likely wouldn't have been any danger whatsoever. But incinerating a human corpse requires considerable thermal power, and we'd use up our supply of gasoline, rendering a fire of the requisite temperature beyond our means. Well, I suppose there was nothing anyone could have done about that. In any case, as a result of consuming that contaminated meat, there was an abrupt outbreak of acute internal disease. Symptoms included shivers, vertigo, fatigue, as well as diarrhea and dehydration that accompanied it. Within 2 to 4 days of sickening, nearly all were dead. Of course, since you never ate the meat in question, you were spared this fate. Do you still remember what Hiroka-san said to you that day, near the end? as you nurse her at her deathbed. Suo-san, I'll repay your kindness someday. Even if I die, I'll never ever forget this. She kept that final promise, I believe, albeit in a form I'm sure you never expected. The one who truly saved your life might well have been Hiroka-san. But I know your gentle heart. I'm sure you're giving all the credit to your dear friend Azaikyousuke, who offered up her body to protect you. I'm sure you offered me many tearful thanks. Therefore, I've got a favor to ask of you. If my little brother has lost his way, if he's suffering alone, I want you to find him and help him. My Yuji is a cowardly little crybaby. His kindness is about all he has going for him. A bit of a hopeless boy, really. Even so, he's my one and only brother, and I love him very much. Leaving him is my only regret. If Yuji happens to be standing next to you as you read this, he's a very fortunate young man. He needs a reliable woman by his side. He's the sort who can't manage anything alone. If possible, I'd like you to watch over my little brother forever. Well then, so long as we're both alive, let's meet again somewhere, someday. Respectfully yours, the greatest friend of your life, Azaikyousuke. P.S. If, by some chance, you currently find yourself in a life or death situation, take the attached kitchen knife and please do your best to eliminate the threat by your own power. I will no longer save you. Believe in a happier tomorrow. If necessary, fight for it. I firmly believe that you are capable of blazing your own path forward.
なんだよこれ。
What does this mean? In the end, what happened to Kazuki? I mean, when did she even write this? Hey, are you alive? Or are you dead? Which is it, Kazuki? And how could she possibly know my situation this precisely? Was she even human? Monster feels a lot more convincing right now.
やっぱりカズキにはかなわないな。
I have no idea when she wrote this letter or why, but there's one thing and one thing only I understand very clearly. I understand, Kazuki. Your wish has always been my command.
ユージは絶対に私が守るから。絶対だよ、カズキ。貸せて。
ヒーハー！逃げろーい！もっと逃げろー！どうしたどうした？ああ！もっと元気に逃げ回らなきゃ面白くねえだろうが！
Ah, shut the hell up already. Seriously, give me a damn break here. He may be batshit, but the man's still a hell of a hunter. He's playing with me. It's unbelievably frustrating to know that, but there's nothing I can do about it. Whenever I slow my pace to try and observe his approach, a gunshot instantly rings out, bursting apart a tree a few feet ahead, and showering me in sharp fragments of wood. I've been looking to take advantage of the reload time required after every 2 shots, but he's been reloading after every blast, always leaving at least 1 bullet loaded as insurance against a counterattack. Normally, dropping low and crawling concealed along the muddy ground might be the better plan, but it wouldn't do much good here. The guy's got a shotgun. Even a haphazard shot in my general direction has a good chance of hitting me. Given the smallest opening, I could take measures to fight back directly, but after every shot, Sakashita melts back into the thick green forest. He's slowly, methodically pushing me into a corner, without the briefest moment of carelessness. Feels like I'm a boxer getting a kick to the face every time I try to pull myself up off the canvas. He's not letting me do a thing. Bastard! Cursing is about the most I can do. Helps with the stress, but very little else. Since drawing Sakashita's attention, I've been grazed by the shotgun's blast numerous times. By now, I'm covered in fresh gunshot wounds, bleeding copiously and drawing breath in wheezing gasps. My vision's beginning to grow dim.
はいドーン！足打ってドーン！
Ugh! The latest barrage of lethal pellets grazes my right thigh, knocking it violently forward with an impact like a powerful low kick. I pitch forward, crashing to the ground. Unable even to control my fall, I clumsily smash into the rocky soil, raising my head. I spit out the gravel and dirt that plunged into my mouth, but that's the most I can manage. I can no longer rise to my feet.
どうしましたか、風見さん。もうおしまいですか？
God damn it. I'm not your toy, old man. Sakashira's scheme is completely transparent. He's purposefully toying with me, tormenting me at length in an attempt to lure out Amane. The man emerges from the woods and advances slowly, staring down at me as he cracks open his shotgun, ejecting the shell he fired. He retrieves another from the pouch around his waist and pushes it into the barrel.
しかしあの女、あなたを見捨ててまた一人で逃げましたね。最低のクズ女ですよ。どうして皆さんあんなうんこ女をかばうんですかね。
I don't offer an answer to his question. No, more accurately, I don't have the composure necessary to answer. I crawl forward on the uneven ground, every breath I take a gasp, every frantic beat of my heart sending more blood spurting out of my wounds.
やっぱあれですか。ビッチだからですか。あのオチとかっていう陰行教員が天音さんだけを見逃したのもやはりそういうことなんですかね。
Shut the fuck up. No one asked for your opinion on my woman. I'll kill you, asshole.
まだまだ元気ですね。若いですね。その多すぎる血の気をもう少し抜いてあげましょう。はい。
Yet another gunshot, this time grazing the thigh of my left leg. It's clearly not a direct hit, but as he fired from point-blank range, the impact still knocks my leg violently into the air. It feels hot more than anything else, but that probably just means my sense of pain is beginning to shut down.
天音さん、いいんですか？このままじゃあなたの彼氏無駄死にをしますよ。
Shut up! Don't call a woman in the middle of a one-on-one fight.
怠慢とか言えるほどの状況じゃないでしょ、あなた。
But even as he sneers down at me, Sakashira methodically reloads a single shell he's fired, remaining fully alert. Amane, stay away, you got that? You don't need to come back. I'll take him to hell by myself. Shit. Stand up. You're going to stand up, Yuji. You weren't trained gently enough to go down this easy, were you?
おお、また立ち上がりますか。根性、ガッツマンですね。何をそんなに頑張ってるんだが。一体何故にそこまで？
For her sake, obviously. If your daughter's life was on the line, you'd go this far yourself, wouldn't you?
確かに。なるほどね。しかしね、あの周防天音にそれだけの価値があるとは私にはどうしても思えませんね。あなた、なんであんなクソ女のために犬死にができるんですか？
Don't be an idiot. I'm off the clock right now. I've got no intention of dying like a dog for anything other than my country.
でも実際にこうしてあなたは天音さんのために傷ついて死にかけているじゃないですか。
I was finally going to have a family of my own. If I die for her, no matter how or where, it'll never be a dog's death.
ああ、所詮はガキの綺麗事ですね。がっかりですよ。だってそうでしょ？あのクズ女、本当に一人で逃げたみたいですよ。あなたがこんな目に遭っているというのに助けに来ようともしない。毒虫だなんだと言われているようですが、心底抱きすべき最低のクソ虫ですね。
I gave her a strict order to stay away. She's a well-behaved, understanding woman.
はいはい、そうですか。わかりましたよ。あなたを餌にしてあのクソ虫女を釣ろうとしていたわけですが、 無駄でしたね。残念です。すみませんね、風見さん。こんなくだらん茶番に付き合わせてしまって、今楽にして差し上げますから。
Ah, that a fact. Much obliged for your trouble. Better make sure you do it right though. If I survive this, it's your turn.
ああ、そうですか。頭吹き飛ばされて生きてる人間がいるならぜひ見てみたいもんですな。はい、じゃあさようなら。
Shit. What the hell? That's it? After all that big talk, this is all I've got? Pretty lame. But Amane got away. This isn't a meaningless death. That's good enough, right? In that instant, the sound of branches snapping, bushes rustling. Don't tell me. Lifting myself up off my back, I turn to look over my shoulder to find my fears confirmed. Amane rushes forward through the forest, a gleaming kitchen knife somehow clutched at her waist, screaming a fierce war cry.
何？
Charging forward on a collision course with Sakashida, gripping her knife tightly at the hip with two white-knuckled hands. Suo Amane is the very picture of a wrathful demon. The sheer bloody determination and hate in her eyes would make any who see them recall the words, "Death before surrender."
この毒虫女が！
Sakashida, momentarily overwhelmed by Amane's spirit, flinches slightly before moving to aim the shotgun in his hands. Not missing her chance, Amane lowers her body and closes the last few meters in an instant, ramming her shoulder into Sakashida's left flank. She swings the knife sheltered at her side up toward his gut, and twisting her waist forward with a thrust, she stabs the blade home with all her strength. Amane! It was a beautiful thrust, as forceful and sudden as a flash of lightning. But why? Why did you come back? You utter idiot.
やらせないよ。ユージには私みたいなしっかりした女がついてるんだ。絶対にやらせない。
Amane leans forward, pushing all her body weight into the knife, twisting it in a vicious circle to enlarge the wound. I don't think you actually need to encircle it, I think just go up and down. That would usually make the person, you know, like not be able to withstand the pain.
この動物が調子に乗るな！
In the next instant, she's blown backward by a point-blank blast from Sakashida's shotgun. Tossed through the air like a doll by the impact, a cloud of scorched blood and pulverized flesh scatters from Amane's stomach. Snarling with rage, Sakashida readies his gun for a second shot.
こいつ！死ね！死ね！
Amane! A burning red haze fills my mind. Somehow, I'm pulling myself up out of a pool of my own blood. Somehow, I'm staggering towards Sakashida. But slowly, so very slowly. Even in my shock and agony and fury, I understand with painful clarity that I'm moving in slow motion.
うるせえ！おめえも死んでろ、バーカ！
At the instant the muzzle of Sakashida's gun aligns with his line of sight, I realize that he's drawn a bead on my head, and instantly twist my body to the side. Ah! The lower barrel of the shotgun flashes a brilliant red. The pellets tear past my head, taking most of my left ear with them. Scorching gas hits me full in the face, scalding my open left eye. Even so, I lunge forward blindly, grappling with Sakashida, my hands seeking his throat.
こいつしつけえんだよ。汚ねえ手で触んじゃねえよ。
Sakashida swings his shotgun like a club, solidly catching the side of my head with a jarring crunch. My violently concussed brain loses all sense of balance, and I crumble to the ground.
たくどいつもこいつもふざけやがって。
Yeah, Amane sadly did not, stab at a decisive blow. She probably should have stabbed him in the gut, retrieved the knife, or pull the knife and then push it to his heart. That was what I would have done.
このくたばり損ないが！てめえなんでまだ生きてんですか！撃たれたんならちゃっちゃと落ちれよクソ虫が！ざくそ！弾が待ってろゴラ！
ユージやだ死んじゃったの。ユージ
こいつまだ生きてやがる。さすがは毒虫だな。しぶといじゃないか。腹吹き飛ばされてまだ動いてるよこの女。気持ち悪い。そりゃあんた毒虫って言われるよ。天音さんよ。
I'm roused from my half-conscious daze by the sound of Sakashira's insane laughter. Ugh. Amane.
よう風見さんよ、生きててくれたか。こいつはラッキーだ。待ってな、今このクソ虫女の目の前でぐっちゃんぐっちゃんのバラッバラに吹き飛ばしてやんよ。
Once again, he turns his gun to me, training the barrels in my head. And this time, I can't move an inch. End of the line, huh? No, not yet. If nothing else, I've got to save Amane. If I can't do that, I'll really die a useless, meaningless death. Like the dog I've always been. Up until now, I haven't done a single worthwhile thing in my entire pathetic excuse for a life. At the end, just once, I want to protect someone I love, and go to hell with my head held high. I'm not giving up yet. Come on, Sakashira. I'll glare you to death. My scorched left eyes glued shut, but with a fierce effort of will, I force my right wide open, and take in an unbelievable scene.
こいつ噛みつきやがった。ふざけんな。離せクソ虫が。犬かてめえ。クソ血がぐわーいてー。このクソバカ女離せっつってんだろうが。
話すもんか。
気持ち悪いって言ってんだよ。ほら話せって言ってんだろうが。
絶対に話すもんか。せめて腕の一本ぐらいは道連れにしてやる。あんたの腕は私が食いちぎって地獄まで持っていってやる。
ざっけんな。なめんじゃねえぞ。ほら
もう一人で逃げ出すのは嫌なのよ。一人で生き残ったっていいことなんて何もない。苦しいだけだよ。それに和樹と約束したんだよ。ユージだけは絶対に守るって約束したんだ。
いいから死ねえよ。
ユージありがとう。ユージ残念だけど、本当に残念だけど、もうお別れだね。ありがとう。私の罰に付き合ってくれて本当にありがとう。
Man, you're so selfish, Amane.
せっかく和樹にもらったこの命、結局私こんな生き方しかできなかったけど、それでもあんたと出会えて楽しかった。これで私やっといけるよ。だからありがとうユージ。そしてごめんねユージ。
なんだこの女、本当に人間か。化け物め。くそ、痛え。腕の肉をごっそり食いちぎりやがった。ふざけやがって、この人食い女が。くたばれ。
Amane.
おい風見さんよ、あんたの女頭いかれてんぞ。
Maintaining a constant stream of curses, Sakashita pulls Amane's broken teeth from his wound one by one, hurling them onto the ground at his feet with a disgusted shudder. Amane, fought hard, didn't you? To the very last. You never gave up. Just what I'd expect to see from the woman I fell in love with. You got some real goddamn guts. Well done. I'd give you a hand of applause if I could. No matter what anyone says, you're the best woman in the whole damn world. You can run on ahead with that arm of Sakashita's. I'll take care of the rest. Not to worry. I'll catch you up soon. I'll catch up to you soon. Damn it, typo. Just sit on your heels and wait.
たく、どいつもこいつも往生際の悪いったらありゃしない。私も人を撃ったのは初めてですけどね。結構しぶといもんなんですね、人間ってのは。さて、お待たせしましたね。次はあなたですよ、風見さん。
Watching Sakashita's face twist in cruel pleasure through my one functioning eye, listening to his indifferent, strangely flat words with my one intact ear, a strange calm wells up within me. It's not that I've given in to despair. It's just that for some reason, there's only one thought in my mind. A warm, wistful, silly thought, utterly out of place in this cold world. I want to eat her cooking just one more time. And right now, nothing else seems to matter. Pushing 2 shells into his shotgun with an air of finality, Sakashita tries to take a step toward me. Instead, he jerks to a halt and furrows his brow in confusion. I follow Sakashita's gaze toward the ground. Once again, we confront the unbelievable. Amane, collapsed limply at Sakashita's feet, has firmly locked her right hand around his booted ankle.
こいつ、まだ生きてやがんのか?
The color draining from his face, Sakashita quickly tries to shake his leg free, but Amane's grip doesn't falter in the slightest.
おい、この女、もう死んでるのに、なんでだ、なんで離れない、クソ、手を離せ、このクソ虫女が。
Sakashita gibbers madly, his teeth chattering audibly in his mouth, bringing his shotgun to bear on Amane's body. He fires a shot point blank into her back, but her clutching hand doesn't even twitch. She's dead. She's been dead. But even in death, she won't release her grip. I see. I see how it is, Amane. One arm wasn't enough for you, eh? Greedy woman. You'll never change. With my sudden burst of laughter, the last slender thread holding Sakashita to something resembling sanity snaps. That's a good scream, actually. Somehow gulping in great mouthfuls of air even as she shrieks, Sakashita kicks his left leg frantically into the air, staring with goggling eyes at Amani's white hand, fighting its implacable... Implacable? I think it's implacable. Grip to no avail. Terrifying. Truly terrifying. Is this what human hatred can be? A thing that takes on a life of its own. A spirit that grows only fiercer in death.
嫌だ離せ離せ
I mean, technically speaking, she's not doing anything. She's dead. Sure, the arm isn't going to let you go, but it's not like you can't move your feet. But I guess at this point, his mind is just already broken. The thing clutching Sakashira's ankle is no longer Amane. It's death itself, taking Amane's form. Desperate to shake off that cold hand, Sakashira kicks violently into the air one final time, and loses his balance. Tumbling hard to the rocky ground as if dragged down by Amane's body, his head strikes a boulder with a wet crack. With a strange little shriek, Sakashira stops moving. Ignoring him, I begin to crawl my way across the ground. Through the slippery blood that coats the harsh earth, I drag myself to Amane. Amane. Hey, Amane. Somehow reaching her at last, I pull myself to my knees and raise her body from the ground. I look down into her face. After so many vicious blows, nothing but a swollen mass of shattered bones. Her ruined mouth full of broken teeth is smiling contentedly in death. Staring into the face of a woman who fought to the death and beyond, a cold emptiness floods into my heart. The hell are you grinning for, woman? There wasn't a single damn thing in your life worth smiling about. If you didn't notice, I was trying to give you something to live for, idiot. We were still just getting started. How many damn times did I tell you you weren't allowed to die? There wasn't a single good reason for you to die here. You complete and utter idiot. Even so, Amane died protecting the life of someone she loved. Maybe that was enough for her. Maybe that was what she'd wanted all along. But whatever the case, Amane, you died a worthy death as a human being. Amane, well done. I'm glad I fell in love with you. I really mean that. When you told me you wanted to take Kazuki's place, I scolded you. I told you there was only one Kazuki, that no one could ever replace her. But the thing is, that's true for you as well. Always has been. No one could ever take your place. To me, you were the one and only. The greatest damn woman in the world. Well then, what do you know, Sakashida-san? It seems I've survived. Hey, do you remember what I told you just a little while ago? That's right. I spelled it out for you, didn't I? If I survive this, it's your turn. Remember that? Sorry to keep you waiting. Slipped my mind for a moment there. It's your turn now. I gently pulled the shotgun out of Sakashida's unconscious hands. I haven't been, so I can't speak from experience, but hell. But hell might not be so bad once you get used to it, you know? I guess he said, he's like trying to say, I haven't been to hell or something. Well, you head along first and send back me a postcard. I'm sure your daughter's waiting for you on the other side. Once again, I failed. Once again, I couldn't protect anyone. If only I could turn back time, it'd all be different. Just one more chance, and I'd pull it off beautifully. Once again, the weight of a woman's death settles on my shoulders. Once again, I'm alone. Holding Amane's battered, cold body in my arms, I stare quietly up into the sky. There's nothing above me, nothing but a single curling column of gunpowder smoke, rising silently up into the void.
グリザイアの果実。
Man, that's such a sad ending. Holy shit, compared to the happy ending for Amane. But we do know what Kazuki wrote. You know, and what she buried. Yeah, that's a good indication that she is in fact alive. Well, why else is this game a trilogy, you know? But alright, with that, I am ending this double episode. God, 4 hours and 35 minutes. This is gonna take forever to render. But I hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I don't think I will be cutting anything on this one. There was that scene in the 15th Angelic Holiday that I could probably take off the scene, but I think I can still give you guys my voice. So yeah. Hope you guys enjoyed this double episode. It's gonna be one episode at a time though for you guys on YouTube. But if you're on Patreon, I'm gonna keep shilling that. You're gonna get this like super fast. But yeah, like the video if you like it, and subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you guys next time. Next time we'll probably go to Michiru's route, but we'll see. I might take a break for a week or something again, since we are done with the Amanes.